Hi guys, so here is our very first look at the Crew 2 using a steering wheel. So I'm using the Thrustmaster TX Leather Edition racing wheel, and it's taken quite a bit of time to set up because there was some issues regarding the controller mapping, so you have to press a sort of combination of two buttons here and there to get certain functions to work, which is a real shame. You know, it certainly does need an overhaul. We need custom button mapping, which is at the moment is not available for the consoles. I believe it's available for PC owners, but it's not quite yet, for whatever reason, there for console owners, which is a real shame. But we persevered anyway. We've got it working as best as I possibly could. I will just show you actually my settings. So you should get wheel controls pop up if your wheel is recognised. So we're using the full force feedback, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. We've got sequential gearbox. I've got the wheel range to 540 degrees. I feel that's a nice balance for me personally. And all the presets are on precise, so steering, throttle and braking. Of course, if you're using a clutch as well, there are settings for that, but I'm not using a clutch for this video. I just feel precise gives you a nice sort of progressive feeling, which is what I need with all my input: steering, brakes and accelerator. Okay, so that's that. Now you can look to the side, but you will have to use a combination of two buttons, so same with looking back as well. So it's very awkward at the moment, but it does work to some degree at least. But I'd love to see, well, we have to see really custom button mapping in the final game, because at the moment it's just not good enough. Now regarding the handling of the cars using a racing wheel, I would say with the settings I currently have precise, in my opinion it feels better than the original Crew. It feels more, well, precise basically. You have a great degree of control. I feel it acts much better with your, even with sort of subtle inputs, it's able to translate nicely. It just feels very good. Now unfortunately, the thing that really lets it down is the force feedback, which at the moment, just going for a cruise, I'm getting virtually zero force feedback right now. It's just, there's nothing coming out of the wheel at all. If you do jumps and stuff, you feel the vibration upon landing. Crashing a little bit, you feel, and I feel that you don't get that sort of the wheel when it wants to centre. When you turn, you don't really get that unless you really turn really hard, like in races or whatever. But in terms of just driving around and cruising, you just don't get any force feedback virtually. So it's really disappointing on that front. But I mean, if this game, when it does come out, if it does have decent enough force feedback, it's going to be an absolute joy to drive with a wheel, because it does handle surprisingly well, these cars. I'm driving the MX-5, so it's a nice neutral, well-balanced car, so it should feel good. It does, thankfully. So I'm impressed with the way the car turns and how precise you can be with the steering. It feels very nice indeed, but again, like I say, it's just the force feedback, unfortunately, that is sort of letting it down, I guess. But that is an area they can certainly improve. I do have the force feedback settings set to the highest, and even so it's very poor indeed, unfortunately. But like I say, in terms of steering the vehicles, they do have a decent enough sense of weight. You know, they're not sort of jerking all over the place on this steering mode, so you know, you really have to go crazy like that to get it to feel very arcadey. So in that respect, it does feel good. It just needs to sort out two things for me. It's the button mapping, which is severely needed. I mean, they can't launch this game without button mapping for the consoles. It really does need to be sorted. And equally, the force feedback. It's pretty terrible right now, and they need to sort that out for launch. If they can get those two things working correctly, it's going to be a fantastic game to cruise on, no doubt about it. It's going to feel better than the Crew 1, certainly. You know, the steering certainly does already. If they get a force feedback sorted, it's going to be fantastic. And yeah, that's pretty much my first impressions on wheel usage. very clumsy at the moment. You know, you have to press a combination of buttons to, or hold one button down and then press the other buttons to get stuff to work. I mean, they've mapped things like the horn on a button that you just think, well, they've mapped the horn, why couldn't they have mapped the change view button on a single button? You know, it does sort of defy belief, but that's the way it is, unfortunately, at the moment. But we've got one more day of the beta left on the Crew. Of course, it comes out on June 29th for the PS4, Xbox One and PC, so they do have some time to sort this out. It just feels that sometimes you can't help but feeling sort of left out in the cold as a Wheel user, and the fact that it's still happening even to this day is disappointing, to say the least. You know, particularly after Need for Speed, Rivals and 2015, it just doesn't recognise a wheel at all, which is very frustrating, because wheels are becoming more and more popular nowadays, so we shouldn't really be left out in the cold like this. But I just feel that they need button mapping in place and sort the force feedback out. We don't necessarily need fantastic force feedback, but it'd be nice to just feel the road on the tyres and feel the wheel sort of wanting to centre, you know, self-centre. So it's very disappointing at the moment in that regard, but it has potential, I would say, at this point. The steering feels fantastic. They just need to sort those two elements out, and then I think it'll be a cracking little game. But anyway, we're going to leave it there just for a little rant on the current wheel compatibility with, at least on the console version of the Crew 2 beta. No doubt we'll have some more action on the Crew 2 as we get very close to release, and we'll leave it there for now. But anyway, let us know in the comments what you make of the wheel implementation so far in the Crew 2 beta, and like I say, we'll have more on the game no doubt later in the month. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching.
Well, how do you like it? Makes me feel